Hey everybody, movie reviewing story here, and back with something a bit different. I've been watching some anime lately, and you might have seen my video on the Yasuo Umetsu trilogy, which I called it that because they're all from Yasuo Umetsu. But today, I finished watching an anime that I have seen before, and I don't know if I'm going to make this a normal thing, but I rewatched Love Chunibyo and Other Delusions. This is oh shit. Just a second. It's an anime from 2012. Let me try to adjust the color back. It's an There you go. It's an anime from 2012, and it's gonna be kind of different because I'm not gonna well, I can look up the voice actors. Um, because I don't know the director's name and everything. I do want to talk about the voice acting. Now, I will full disclosure, I watched the dub. I usually watch the dubs of anime whenever they're available. So um, when I talk about this, I am speaking specifically on the dub from 2015. Yes, the dub that came 3 years after the original show run. So, starring Leraldo Anzaldúa, Margaret MacDonald, Maggie Flecknoe, Emily Neves, Brittany Karbowski, Greg Ayers, and Genevieve Simmons. In this anime, my quick synopsis: young high schooler named Yuta Togashi meets a girl named Rika Takanashi. She lives above him in his apartment building. They go to the same high school, and basically, he moved to another high school in order to escape from his middle school past, where he basically believed that he was a wizard or a dark flame master. That's what it was. And basically, he kind of just goes with this girl who's one of the people paying attention to him, and basically makes up a group of friends and ends up forming like a club around like magic and stuff. And yeah, it's kind of hard to explain. But again, what do I think of Love Chunibyo and Other Delusions? I really like it. I do. I am so close to loving this show. There are a couple things that hold me back from it. Because while this anime is very creative, very stylish, very well made, 100% well made, it's one of the best looking, best animated series I've ever seen. And I mean that. I mean that wholeheartedly, especially nowadays, where you get a lot of animated series like relying on overusage of CGI instead of 2D animation or 2D sprites so that it doesn't take as long to animate, but it doesn't look as good. This anime does have some bits of CGI in it and some weird camera shit. Like whenever you see cars, but cars aren't really a big part of the series, it's kind of a background element. But for the most part, this is just a really, really, really well made anime. Um, with very interesting characters, um, interesting subplots at times. And for the most part, I think it was very well paced because I kind of breezed through this first season, and I am going to watch the second season and review it. But yeah, it's one of those shows that really reminds you of the old days because I mean, this isn't exactly the same thing, but I remember I used to be kind of weird, eccentric when I was a little bit younger. I am to a point still, but whenever I like played a Pokemon game, I would act as if I was the trainer and be like, "Oh, go Weasel, use water gun," that type of thing. I don't know if that exactly counts, but yeah, this anime just kind of reminded me of how I felt back then and the way that it ties in and what it ultimately means for this Rika character is quite interesting, I think. I think it explores some interesting themes like abandonment, um, denial, death, which again, as someone who's dealt with a lot of death in his family, I can relate to that and like thinking of like being in denial of things really struck a chord with me back when I first watched this show, like all the way back in 2014 or 2015. I forgot if I watched the dub first or the sub first. And I have seen like the entire sub and dub. And to be honest, I'm just going to pick with the dub because there's some weird voice acting in the Japanese version. I know a lot of people fucking hate the English dub. I don't see it. There's certain characters people get mad at the voice acting specifically of Toka from Genevieve Simmons or Genevieve Simmons, and I don't understand it because the character's supposed to be kind of deadpan and have like small emotional outbursts, and that's the part of the character, and that actress plays it very well. I guess I'll get to the cast. Leraldo Anzaldúa as Yuta Tagashi. He does a really good job, I think. I think he plays the character very well, and nothing ever really stood out as like terrible or anything to me. It never felt that way. It always felt very honest and heartfelt, his acting. So I know there's some people that don't feel that way, but yeah, I think he plays the character well. Margaret McDonald as Rika Takanashi. Um, I liked. I will say this is a big improvement on the Japanese version because the Japanese version makes her voice way too high pitched, and I know that's a big thing in Japan, like having high pitched girl voices for girl characters, and I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest. It does kind of come off a bit creepy. So I like what Margaret McDonald did with the character. She still has the moments of like cutesy thing, but it comes off more. It doesn't come off as forced in the dub. It comes off as little moments. Maggie Flecknoe as Shinkani. I don't know most of these voice actors. I don't know who did the it says Sentai Filmworks. I don't know who directed the dub. I guess it was Emily Neves. So I guess the voice actress of Kumin Sayuri is the voice director. That's cool. But yeah, Emily Neves as Kumin. I I liked her. She has her moments of not amazing voice acting, but the character's kind of supposed to be this chill type of character, so it didn't really bother me too much. Um, Brittany Karbowski is Sanai Dekamori. I definitely recognize her though. Oh yeah, she's been in a ton of things. Yeah, but she plays the character well. Greg Ayers as Makoto Ishiki. Um, Greg Ayers plays this character a lot. I randomly went before I was about to watch this show. I was about to watch Nyankoi because I remembered not hating it. I remembered thinking it was pretty all right. And then I was like, oh my God, just hearing Greg Ayers' voice as like the friend in school, I was like, why don't I watch Love Chunibyo and Other Delusions? And they took it off of Netflix when I was trying to watch it the first time, so that pissed me off. So last time I tried to watch it, it just got taken off of Netflix randomly, so thanks Netflix. But yeah, Greg Ayers plays this character well. It's his thing. He plays this type of character, this kind of dude bro character a lot. Kind of geeky. And wait, did I miss something? No. Genevieve Simmons as Toka Takanashi, Rika's older sister, who's taking care of her basically. And yeah, I think she does a good job in the role. I don't think it's like too deadpan that it feels like the actor's bored. I think she's actually acting very well. So part, just a small thing. People overly hating on dubs, I think, is just a really dumb thing. Because first of all, personally for me, I do not watch English dubs of live action films because there's no way to match the lips. Because other languages use different alphabets or different letters, so they're going to have different mouth movements and it's never going to line up right. It's always going to seem kind of off hearing American voices coming out of like Japanese people's mouths, Indian people's mouths, Mexican, whatever. But with animation, you have that out where you can actually like mess around with the words in order to fit the lips in English. So I think that's a really good thing that dubs exist for people who just don't want to have to look at the screen all the time. Like, I'm not saying don't pay attention to it, but if you look away while watching in a language you don't know, it's kind of hard to keep up. Don't know if you knew that. But yeah, this show is a very creative show. It like whenever you get one of the biggest things I can give this show is again, it is beautiful. It's a beautifully animated show, animated by Kyoto or Kyoto Animation. Um, it has a very nice style to it. It did remind me at times of Madoka Magica, and I do think this is a better show than Madoka Magica. Fight me. Um, but it definitely does have its issues. There's the one big issue of this show is, well, two big issues. First one is the tonal inconsistencies at times. Sometimes it'll go from a scene of like a character finding out that another character's dad died to a straight up like slapstick comedy scene. And I will say that is a thing with a lot of anime that I just can never get with, because I understand you have this kind of short 20 without opening and ending credits. Each episode is 20 minutes. This first season is about 4 hours, given that. So you don't have a ton of time. It's not like an hour an episode thing, which makes this a lot easier to digest because not many anime are an hour an episode. Um, and I can understand like actually just telling the story and not putting in a bunch of filler. But yeah, that did kind of turn me off at times. I was like, do you really need the comedic scene right after the scene? And then there's the second issue. The last few episodes are really, really schmaltzy. Now, yes, I can get into Yuta Tagashi and Rika Takanashi's relationship. Yes, I believe them becoming a couple. I do. But one, it's not a very original romance. It's just like, oh, we settle our differences, that type of thing, or like you can still be your creative self and all that. And I don't know, in some ways it feels stretched out, in some ways it feels a little bit rushed. And also these last few episodes are for the most part very melodramatic, as a lot of romance anime are, especially high school romance anime. It reminded me of Toradora, which I do really like Toradora. I do. I don't know if I like it more or less than this because I wasn't huge on the ending of Toradora or how it was done specifically. And the show shares a lot of plot elements with Toradora. So I just think they're more comparable than a ripoff of each other. But yeah, I do really enjoy this anime. It's not that I don't enjoy it. I do think it could have used a bit more creativity with the writing, because the writing is a bit lacking at times, and the animation is doing a lot of heavy lifting at times. It's not like this is like a 6 out of 10 or 5 out of 10 anime without the animation. If it wasn't nearly as well animated, it might be a high 7, low 8. But the animation is just gorgeous. This is a show that you can watch just for the animation, and the story is kind of a it's kind of a throwaway story. It's not really anything new. You've seen this type of thing before. You've seen this exact type of relationship before. And that I was thinking back, I mean earlier I was thinking, "Oh, maybe I could watch the anime movie." The anime movie is basically just a recreation of the first season with added scenes at the beginning and end to set up the second season, which I don't really need that because I think the second season starts pretty well from what I remember. And also I watched the OVA, the slapstick Christmas OVA. Um, there's not much to say about it. It's mostly just like, oh, look, the girl characters are in cute dresses and all that. And it's like, oh, two of them get drunk. Nothing too out the wall happens, which I'm glad that this show isn't really sexualizing the characters because they are still high school age. And it's still a bit creepy when anime do that. If this was a TV mature anime, it 100% would have done that. But I try not to watch like ecchi, like sex comedy stuff set in the high schools because I find it creepy. Um, but yeah, the OVA is kind of a throwaway thing. Excuse me. It's kind of a throwaway thing. Um, but yeah, overall, I do enjoy the show quite a bit. I'm not gonna say I don't. Um, but yeah, um, I'll try to watch the rest of or I'll try to watch the second season today. We'll see how that goes. And yeah. Hope y'all enjoyed the review of Love, Chunibyo, and Other Delusions. If you've seen this anime series, comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Um, maybe tell me what I should review next and movie review next door.